The Wednesday Night Wars are officially over. So now, as wrestling fans, I think it's time we need to stop talking about ratings, whether they're for AEW Dynamite, WWE Raw, Smackdown, or even NXT. Even Impact can be thrown into this conversation. Ralph, are you with me on this? Is it time to stop talking about ratings? Can we say as wrestling fans together, ratings don't matter?
Why this became a thing, I think it's pretty obvious because, this whole mini Wednesday Night War, which in reality really wasn't all that much like a war, like in comparison to the Monday Night Wars. I mean, if the shows were going head to head, yes, the numbers kind of matter more so to the executives and people like that, like I said. But the fans really got, for whatever reason, really invested in this. And it really helped kind of cement the atmosphere for pro wrestling right now. The tribalism that does exist, whether you were on, a fan of NXT and WWE or you were a fan of AEW, that helped, in most people's mind, it helped solidify their case in trying to prove that the show that they watched was the better show. And if you were losing in the ratings war, then ultimately you were on the losing side.
Right. And I agree with that. But I think people don't really understand, one, how ratings really work, and two, the real importance of TV ratings, especially the ones that we get. Now, the ones that we get and we talk about in the internet wrestling community are the ones from Show Buzz Daily that are the live and same day television ratings. And for those that don't know what that means, that's live cable viewing or live network viewing, depending on what channel you're watching, between 3 a.m. and 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's it. Not streaming, not video on demand, DVR, again, in that time frame. But other than that, it doesn't really paint a whole picture of who is actually watching. So when someone says, oh my God, Raw is having their lowest viewership ever, they're going to go down the tank, NBC is going to cancel them. Or on the flip side, the Wednesday Night Wars weren't a war because neither show is getting 1 million viewers. Stuff like this is just ridiculous.
We covered the numbers and we covered the viewership and the demographics and all those types of things in the ratings because that's something that people are interested in. But you see other podcasters and other prominent people within the wrestling community that cover it, and it's kind of like they pick and choose what they want to report, and they cherry pick the information that they want to provide to you. So for the Wednesday Night Wars, if you recall when this first started, it was all about the viewership. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, AEW got over 1 million people to watch their show the first time that they debuted on TV. That's impressive. That's a big number. That's a lot of people that decided they were going to tune in to Dynamite. Then the numbers started to go down a little bit and we started shifting to, well, it's maybe not so much about the viewership, but let's focus on the demo god, Chris Jericho. My God.
But that is true. That is true though.
It is true.
That's not like a shift in focus. That's just, I think more people understood it better when they realized, oh shit, the demo is what actually gets the advertising money.
If you let me finish, this is where I'm going with this.
Okay, go ahead.
These prominent individuals that are reporting the numbers, conveniently, when we talk about AEW, it's about the demo, correct? The demo, the rating, the obscure number about the number of people that live in a household. My God, there's 6 people. Granny's watching Dynamite. So those numbers matter.
That depends on who you're talking about, though.
Okay, we won't name names, but you can figure this out for yourself because you certainly are going to know this. So for that show, the demos matter, the rating matters, but when it comes to Raw, it's the viewership that all of a sudden mattered. Never mind, and you work in TV, so I'll let you cover this yourself.
Yep.
Because Raw, as bad as the numbers are, because I mean, let's face it. Yes, not as many people are watching pro wrestling across the board, but not as many people are watching Monday Night Raw as used.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is where I'm going to have to disagree with you. To say that not as many people are watching wrestling today, I don't know if you really can support that argument just going by ratings alone, because like I said, the numbers that are reported are the live and same day ratings numbers. So that means that's only people that are watching when Raw is on the air or when Dynamite is on the air, SmackDown, NXT, whatever show it is. I think it's easy to think you understand them when you just look at numbers, like concrete numbers. Like AEW this week got a 0.26. Last week they got a 0.24. So they had a higher ratings bump, but they went down in total viewership. And then you wonder, how the hell is that even possible? And then actually people in the television industry and people in advertising can understand where these numbers are going. It's not just, well, AEW sucks, their viewership's going down, or WWE Raw sucks, and that's why Raw's ratings are down. But when you think about it, let's think about this. Raw, I think a lot of people can agree, Raw has not been good for a long time.
No.
I haven't been watching it for a while. I'll admit it. I don't know if you watch it consistently, and if you do, I know I get texts once in a while saying how bad it is. True.
Yes. Very true. Yeah, I do watch it from time to time. I try to watch it because I want to keep up with what's going on, especially now going into WrestleMania. But I can't be, if I'm being honest here, there are certain segments that I give it a couple of seconds and then boop, DVR, fast forward, not going to watch it.
Exactly. So that's part of the reason why ratings, especially these ratings, don't really matter the way people want them to think they matter, because one of the things you pointed out, you're going to flip through and you want to stay up to date. Now, is it easier to stay up to date watching a 3-hour show or 30 minutes worth of clips on YouTube?
Exactly. The 30 minutes.
Exactly. So television ratings are not affected by YouTube viewing, or I shouldn't say YouTube viewing is not added into the ratings.
Right.
I should say. Now, next thing, demos. Demos are important, right? Oh, Raw stinks. Raw's got all these bad ratings or whatever. This past week, now, yes, it was the go home to WrestleMania, but this has been the trend for the last few weeks or so. Where were they in the 18 to 49 demographic?
I would venture to guess they were probably top 2 if you're going to gloat about it.
Number 1.
Okay, number 1.
In every demo, they were number 1, except 2. Which 2?
50 plus.
That's 1.
And deceased.
No, not deceased. The other one was females 18 to 49, which professional wrestling is a male-dominated audience to begin with. So, I mean, they're WWE's targeting every single audience. And yes, and this is one of the things even some of the other pundits in the wrestling community are saying, that the female audience is dropping, and hence why the ratings and viewership is going down. But it's a male-targeted show. So that's kind of why the ratings, as we try to analyze them, don't matter. Because AEW is still a top 10 in the 18 to 49 demographic, probably a top 5, sometimes even the top show in the male 18 to 49 demographic, depending on if it's basketball season or not. And as far as viewership, if I said this once, I've said this 1,000 times. They're skewed by the 50 plus demo. So if you have a show that has a lot of 50 plus viewers, guess what? You're going to have a high viewership. Go look at Show Buzz Daily. For those that are watching for the first time on our show, or just really understanding ratings for the first time, go on Show Buzz Daily, pick any day of the week. Doesn't have to be one where there's wrestling. See the shows that have high 50 plus demo ratings. And then next to it is the total viewership. All the shows with over 1 million viewers all have high 50 plus demos. That's why AEW doesn't hit 1 million viewers. That's why NXT doesn't hit 1 million viewers. And that's why Raw's viewership is the lowest it's been since the show started in 1993. It has nothing to do with quality of product. People try to say that's the case, but it's not. It has nothing to do with quality of product. Could they be better? Yes. That's where quality of product comes in. But to say the ratings are that low because of quality of product, that's not the case.
So you're under the impression that if Raw was, if Raw or AEW, in order for them to be successful, what you're saying is they need to target the older demographic, or they have to at least combine that demographic on top of what they're currently drawing in.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you want to maximize total viewership for the sake of live and same day ratings, target the 50 plus, because they're the ones watching television the most traditional sense. If you want to maximize your audience and get the most money out of your actual audience, target your audience. For wrestling, it's males 18 to 49 or males 25 to 54. Now, WWE, they're catering to businesses, where AEW, they're catering to consumers. So while their consumer is typically a male 18 to 49, you look at their male 18 to 49 rating, it's pretty damn good. You look at their overall 18 to 49, it's decent, but could be better. You look at their total viewership, it stinks because the male to 18 to 49 demo is probably the lowest of the demographics that have the most viewers. With that said, I know a lot of people try to bring up viewership and say, oh my God, this is concerning that it's gone downhill. Do you think the AEW, like Tony Khan and TNT, are focused on dropping viewership totals?
Those are the type of people, depending on your position in the company or at a network or at a cable company, those are the people that should be concerned with the viewership and the rating, not fans. At least not the way the fans are using it, because the way it was used, if you want to be somebody who says, hey, the numbers are going up, whatever, we're happy, they're growing, they're showing that more people are watching, that's fine. But the way it was getting used is people were trying to use it to more or less solidify that the show that they watch is better. And that's not the way that the information should be used, because I mean, that's just, as a fan, I guess it's good to brag about it if you're really that into it, but shouldn't really matter.
Right.
But yes, I do think that like the Tony Khans of the world and whoever else is involved with TNT probably should look at those numbers and be a little concerned, only because they're going in the wrong direction, unless there is other metrics that they're looking at that suggest something otherwise, like, well, you know, our YouTube views are crazy through the roof, or whatever the case is.
Right. Now, that's where I am going to somewhat disagree. As I said, the numbers that we get are the live and same day ratings. And the reason I keep saying this is because in television today, most networks don't even show these numbers to their advertisers. There's other metrics that they show. They're called Live +3 and Live +7. So basically, that's live plus the next 3 days, or live plus the next 7 days. Those are the numbers these networks care about more. So if Raw has 1.8 million on day one, and then they get an extra, let's say 300,000 to 500,000 within the next week, that's over 2 million people watching. That's not that bad. AEW,
I think so.
AEW, the same thing. This week they had what, 700,000?
700,000.
Oh, actually, less this week.
No, 600 and something.
Yeah, it was less than that. So let's say 680. I think it was around that ballpark. 686, maybe. Say 1 to 300,000 watch between day 1 and 7 after the initial live airing. That's nearly 1 million viewers. That's what TNT cares about. That number after 3 and 7 days, because people have DVRs, people have video on demand, people have Hulu, people have all these other streaming services that you could and even each network has their own network app. So USA has a USA app. TNT has the TNT app. And if you watch on the TNT app, those sometimes don't play the same commercials, which means those streaming numbers do not count in the live same day ratings. I know someone tried to question me on this like a month or so ago because there was a glitch or an outage during TNT streaming a Dynamite like a month ago. And they thought that's what led to the viewership, but it wasn't. It was the fact that there was a Lakers versus 76ers game that ate up all the 18 to 34 viewers. It had nothing to do with wrestling or a streaming outage. They were watching basketball. So that's the thing. And that's the other metric too. What else is on that day? The national championship for the NCAA, the Masked Singer, presidential election coverage, or a George Floyd trial coverage, you know, stuff like that. There's like, outside of wrestling, there's so much other things that these shows are competing with. Hell, guys' grocery games is technically competition on Wednesdays for NXT and AEW. But we don't talk about that. Why? Because Guy Fieri is not a wrestling show. He's not a wrestling host. So it seems like the only numbers we care about, or the only ones we want to look at, are wrestling related.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, you know, part of that too is the big thing is why is it that wrestling specifically, they can't capture the audience for whatever reason the way they used to? I mean, and this is something we've discussed. I think they're still waiting for the big star, like the big mega star to come along, and that hasn't happened yet. And it's, who knows when it is going to happen, and who knows what company it's going to happen in. But for right now, for whatever reason, people are choosing to put their time and effort and investment into other shows and other apps and other, content to enjoy, not wrestling. So that is the conundrum that they have to overcome if wrestling is truly going to get back to where it may have once been during the Attitude Era or whatever other era you want to compare it to.
Right.
But who knows when that's going to happen?
It may never happen, because I think part of the problem is we have so much content to consume and so many ways to consume it.
Right.
You don't necessarily need to have that quote unquote megastar. You got Sasha Banks doing stuff on Star Wars. You got Cody Rhodes and Brandy having a reality show and Cody doing the game show thing. You have The Miz doing reality shows. You have the Total Divas reality show. There's so many ways that these guys and girls in professional wrestling are doing other avenues outside of wrestling that we may think there's not a megastar, but perhaps there really is. And we just are comparing them to antiquated metrics from the 1990s.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that part of it, because I think that just, if I'll give you an example. The other day I was watching TV, a commercial came on with Stone Cold Steve Austin. My daughter is 7 years old. She's never seen Steve Austin wrestle, but he is at the very least one of the top 5 biggest stars and draws in pro wrestling history.
True.
Nobody's going to dispute that.
No.
She looked at the TV and she said, "Isn't that guy a wrestler?" Well, I can pretty much bet you, like if I walk down the street and show people random pictures of Steve Austin, Kenny Omega, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, because I know we talked about him on this show, Mike Tyson, they're going to know 3 or 4 of those people. And I'm willing to bet the one person that they might not know is probably Kenny Omega. And that isn't because, Kenny Omega isn't a really good pro wrestler, or even if you want to use Drew McIntyre, because a lot of people won't know who he is either. It's just because they don't have the ability to capture the attention like other stars did. And it's not just people specific, or that's not just specific to pro wrestling. For whatever people want to say about Logan Paul and Bad Bunny in our comments section, you could say what you want. Oh, I don't know who that is. That's fine. You don't have to know who he is. It doesn't mean he's not popular. It doesn't mean that people don't know who they are. It doesn't mean that other people are paying attention. So, that's who those are the people that wrestling fans or wrestlers themselves are competing against. Because at the end of the day, as you pointed out, it's not just about pro wrestling. It's about people making the choice to choose other content to watch other than pro wrestling. And other people in other industries are able to get over to that point where they become megastars. But pro wrestlers, for whatever reason, over the course of the last, let's say 10 years, maybe, nobody other than Cena has been able to reach those heights, I don't think.
Right. I mean, that's a fair point. But you bring up Logan Paul, and this is going to be my last point on this, as far as wrestling fans talking about ratings. So last week, SmackDown's ratings and viewership went down as far as the average live numbers. They went down from the previous week with Logan Paul, and some people are saying Logan Paul didn't draw. However, if you dive deeper into that, Logan Paul's hour, the second hour, drew better than the first hour. Yep. So that goes to show you, guys, let's stop talking about ratings and just watch what you want to watch. If you hate WWE, stop watching it. If you hate AEW, stop watching it. And if someone says they like the either promotion, don't insult them because they like it or whatever. That's the problem. And you brought this up. It's the tribalism. Ratings for wrestling fans only bring toxicity. And that is probably the worst thing that when it comes to television ratings, is why we need to stop talking about them, is there's this tribalistic thing, and it leads to also gatekeeping, where if you don't know this guy, then you're not a real wrestling fan, or if you didn't start watching during this time, you don't know this or that. And it just creates this huge smug cloud within the world wrestling, in the wrestling community. Let us know what you guys think. Are you going to are you going to keep talking about ratings because the Wednesday Night Wars are over? Or is this just going to keep bringing it on? Or can we finally stop talking about it? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to share us all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. Subscribe and hit that bell to join the conversation. We'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psycho Babble.